said something back. Jerusalem went back, to build the temple.
Okay.
Build the city while he was in the process.
Okay.
So,
Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. You were saying.
Why some colonists? What is that?
Basically, colonists is basically what they did to America.
Right.
Basically, when the whites or the Spanish came over on the Mayflower, and for as we know, all that then, and they came over here and they colonized it, made it basically like their place, their home. They colonized it. They got the people to kind of start speaking their language too. They colonized it. They started building, homes or whatever, or dwelling places, and basically they just made it into their home. They colonized this land. And they took, as they taken it from the Indians, where the Indians had different ways of life. I think the Indians, they worshiped the sun. They worshiped different type of spirits. When the English, the British came over here, then they, brought the Bible. They brought the biblical sense over. So yeah, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So did you think that this was like enslavement captivity somewhere?
Well, actually, this was what he was talking about. He was talking about how I don't remember. I think it was
how they colonized.
Isaiah. Yeah. Basically, when they colonized it, yeah, because when Jerusalem went into captivity, when you be captured by someone, you got to do what they say do. So therefore, because they was doing what they said do, but then when God freed them, when Cyrus the Great came over and took over and defeated the Babylonians, then they was freed, and God wanted them to leave, but He didn't want them to take anything from this country and this culture. He didn't want them to take anything with them. He wanted them to come back to serve Him, because over there they had different type of gods and everything.
It didn't say they were colonists. It said they were treated as colonists. The cyclists took over. There's a treated as colonists, like somebody come there to add to what they were doing.
So what point was the slavery? What point did they treat them as slaves?
They were slaves in Babylon. They just captured people. They had to do what they say do. Helping men, they had to join their army and all like that.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I guess that would be treated like colonists. Because they're from a slave. You're not going to put me in your army, but I'm going to kill you.
And that's colonialism. Yeah. That's what they did. They colonized them. They had to bend to their will.
Yes.
So because they enslaved them, basically. Because anytime a country goes somewhere and enslave another country, they're gonna colonize it, because they're gonna bring their ways, their teachings, their culture to that area, or to that people that they have now overthrown.
That's why they were like a fight in World War I and World War II. They know who was the shooter.
No, that's a bit of. I did not know that.
They were black little cooks. They were jealous. World War I, World War II. They had Tuskegee Avenue.
Right.
Even though you see that Pearl Harbor, black guy that came up and shooting that plane.
Right. Okay. He came from. Oh wow. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Get on your mark. 70 years is a long time to be in a bad situation. By hope would be long gone and replaced by the slumber of complacency, apathy, and resentment, forecasting the depression, heaviness, and lack of energy to do nothing more than sleep. Commands Isaiah 52:1 commands the captive, representing the exiles taken to Babylon, to wake up. With freedom arriving 7 decades later, the sleeping captives might have mistaken it for a dream and missed out on the opportunity to return home. So the first order of business is to arouse the captive. Loosely translating the verse, it might read, wake up, stretch, get out of your pajamas and put on some clothes. The captive will not bother you anymore. Isaiah further declares that there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean. This means that Jerusalem would not have foreigners ruling over her. So right now, as the way things standing as far as the situation that America finds herself in, it's going to be a situation where it's going to be a pretty dire situation now. And it's almost like you got two different type of classes, or you got the the rich versus the middle class or the poor. So because of the way the situation that is going on now, it's getting to the point where people are going to start kind of feel like they not in their own homeland because of such hardships that people are looking forward to. Okay. Isaiah uses the same dual or double imperative, also awake, which in Hebrew is and means to wake, rise, or stir up. Zion variously refers to God's people, Jerusalem or Israel. From Hanson, both Zion and Jerusalem depict the holy city as a mother of the children of Israel. In this case, it clearly refers to Jerusalem, and her strength refers to the power of her God. For such a great occasion, it is time for her to dress her best. In Hebrew, strength is azi and means might or power, while beauty is tif oro, which means comeliness or glory, as in fine garments. John Goldingay pens, there is a beauty about strength and a strength about beauty. As sovereign, God is the one who determines the future, and God has heard the cry of his people from bondage. Now it is time to wake up, for freedom has arrived. In times past, Israel has drunk from the cup of God's wrath. But now that time has passed and the time of comfort has come. Now is the time to stand up and prepare for a time of celebration. This time, Israel's enemies will not be permitted entrance, as all unholiness will be prohibited. The holy city will be kept holy. Claus Westermann writes, Jerusalem is holy as the city chosen by God, and by him freed and destined for new life. A biblical parallel can be seen in Matthew 10 and 14, referencing the disciples shaking the dust off their feet from places where they were not welcome. There is a clear sense of the people of God being set free or liberated and leaving behind the chains of bondage. Also evident is the fact that God's love reaches out to people in their bondage. So right now, do you all feel like we're about to be almost like people in bondage because of what is possibly transpiring?
I don't.
And why you don't? You want to give it to him first? Okay. Well, okay, Pastor. Why you don't?
Things like this come and go. It's never going to be as projected. It always people project. This is going to be this. It's never going to be like that. Some things will happen and folks won't. And then in the midterms, it's going to flip. So it's just like, and remember God said, child.
So for me, bondage. people, I mean, if we're speaking, and this is my opinion, if we're speaking individually about it, until an individual finds Christ, until a killer or a street person, they have some sort of bondage. So if we're talking that, but you're talking just the overall. I know what you're talking about, but I agree with that. It's coming up. He's gonna come, and there's gonna be another person in charge. We're getting older, so.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir.
What he said, it might make a big difference in the young people.
I mean, generation.
We older, we're not looking for a whole lot. Our life not gonna change a whole lot one way or the other. But the younger people, they not have these good paying jobs. They may have jobs and they won't be making what they're making now. Things like that. Or the economy might be such that they can't afford it. They may go up. Or they may go down and we just don't have the money. So the older people, we pretty much set. We know how to grow a garden. So I'm just saying we know how to live in prosperity or in poverty. We know how to live both ways. But the younger people don't.
There a lot of things are happening now. I mean, the world is changing fast.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it always happens, but unfortunately, it happens around the holiday times. Like, I don't know if you heard about it, but Tesla just laid off 6,000 workers. General Motors, they just laid off 1,350 workers. A lot of companies are laying off by the thousands.
Yes.
And, where are you going to go to find those kind of jobs paying that type of money? And because of that, hardships are going to set in. And, with the way, I mean, like, I don't know if you heard about it, but a senator just, he just sponsored a bill to take out the Department of Education. Now that's going to hurt a lot of your special needs children.
We said it can't be done.
Oh, it can't be done. That's great. It's wonderful
Congress
news.
Created the Department of Education.
Say what now?
Congress created the Department of Education.
Okay.
So Congress would have to take it out.
You mean like the Senate and the Senate and the House?
Yeah, it said Congress.
Okay.
So either way, only Congress can take it out.
Okay. That's great
what I'm
news.
saying. A lot of stuff was said, it's not going to come to fruition.
That's good. And that's something that has a lot of people fretting or worried at this time, especially people that have special needs children. A lot of people are fretting because of that. So, and that's good. That's good to know.
Someone told us not to pray.
Right, that's true. And a lot of people, they don't read the Bible. So they don't know, unfortunately, because they don't read the Bible, they don't know that they're not supposed to fret or have a spirit of fear. So they don't know that.
Yeah.
That's our job. That's our job. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I feel just thinking, the pastor said, the Lord has, our age, the Lord has brought us this far. And I think, brought us this far, we're not going to leave it.
Okay.
I just put my trust with you.
Okay.
But we done seen some good days and we've seen some bad days.
True.
So it's,
Just kind of ebbs and flows, huh?
yeah, I think like Paul, you just gonna be contented, to the Lord. Just lean and depend on the Lord, but the blessings keep you.
Okay.
Put our trust in Him. We're not living like there's no hope. We got hope. Hope is in Christ. He gonna keep us, and like I said again, He will bring us this far and leave us.
All right. Yes, sir.
We see the handwriting on the wall. We can do things we did when they were talking about Y2K. About big bags of rice, big bags of dry beans, things like that. They don't cost so much, but you can eat a long time. See, we got it cooking. Young folks don't know how to cook.
Yeah, that's part of the new society. That's part of the new society is they are technology. They are technology driven, and because of that, they don't know how to, like you say, go out there and plant a garden or something of that nature. But that's just that's the times. That's the time we live in. Yes, sir.
There's so much, you know, we do talk about it, but there's so much that we had, so that we had house, just basic necessities of house, cars, whatnot. And I was talking with, I talked to somebody at my job too. I told them that they were, we were just having a conversation, and I was telling them how in the past what we had, and what I don't think that they were having. I asked them, I asked one of them, do you think that you would ever own a house? Because the way things are going on, it's not so much as ownership, rent. So I was just asking, do you think that you will be able to have, as you get older, would you, so I have like a family, my husband, wife, and family in the house, and some, you know, things like, I don't know if we'll see that again, just because of the way it is not the housing. That's basic. You know, so we had it. But as far as money making and jobs, we're not. Tesla and all that, they did lay off, but the way they make money now is through Instagram. You know, post on Instagram, you get every somebody posting that they'll start paying. That's the way the young people are. That's their income now. Just things of that. It's a lot.
Social media,
it's like a lot, because the jobs that they're now, warehouse, Tesla, those jobs are going away, and these jobs, those jobs are slowly going away, and the jobs that the new generation they do things like that. They post something on, like I said, Instagram, Facebook, and have every million likes that you get, and they start paying you. That's one way. That's one form out there.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just to touch on what Brother Paul said, times have changed to the fact that they have already come out with a study that most people that are buying houses are 40 and over. The young kids or the new generation, they ain't even thinking about buying a house. They rather live in an apartment. That's not even on their mind. Just like he said, you got all these different jobs, content creator, like he said, all social media, Facebook, Instagram. They get so many likes, they start to pay them. That, like back in our days, it was called manual labor.
Manual labor.
They want you to model, they want you to do all this,
Yeah,
they want you to be on TV. All that's going out the way. All that's going out the window, because now they look at stuff like the advertisement. That's what I was going to say. Advertisement, the commercials is going to be gone soon. Because all they advertisement is through social media. You know,
Okay.
and so that's just to touch on what, Brother Paul was saying. Yeah, those things they different than us. And not to say they not as good as us, they just different. Everything is tech. Think about this now. That's about 60% of people got stay-at-home jobs.
Remote
They working
jobs.
from home.
Remote job.
They work from home. Come on, that was far few in between when we was growing up. Yeah.
Well, when COVID hit, that changed the world.
It just showed them something different. That I don't need these people to come in here. They can do the same thing while they stay at home.
But when it helped the people stay at home, it also hurt the real estate market, because those buildings that company was using to have their headquarters, that is now going away, because I was just hearing about something that was saying one building sold for 80% discount. That would mean out of $1, the person only made 20 cents off $1 on rent, because the people are not renting out those spaces any longer. So that is hurting the real estate market. In turn, that's hurting the realtors. It's hurting the builders. It's just everything is intertwined, interconnected.
But when they have money, though, they can buy.
True.
But it will reverse. Mm-hmm. Our economy always up and down. It will reverse. So if you can buy it now and sit on it, it'll reverse, because that means the taxes have to come down. Because it's not worth what it used to be worth. The houses will be coming down.
You think so?
Yeah.
Washington, D.C., when I was going through that, those huge buildings are being used, lots vacated. Nothing to stay on.
Okay.
In some parts of Philly, you could buy a block of houses.
A whole entire block?
A whole block of houses for under $75,000.
What?
A whole block, and I know that for a fact. In certain parts of Philadelphia, lower house.
It's gonna be like that. The
Lower
less
Wait.
money people have, the cheaper things are.
Yes, sir.
But the thing was getting me what he's saying. No, what he's saying is a block, a square
The whole
block.
block. The whole block.
You know what I'm saying, if the economy get bad, the less money people have, the more the little money you have, the worse.
And who's it gonna benefit? The people, the rich people,
Right.
who gonna buy it up and they can sit back and wait till it all reverses itself.
So if we stop spending all our money now and hold some, when the economy go down, when those tariffs kick in, and the prices of things gonna go down, you'll be able to buy.
Wait, you think the tariffs kicking that's gonna make things go down or up?
100% tariff on China already.
So you think that's gonna make things? You think our prices are gonna go down or up? Down?
Down. Because what can you do 100% on China? I say China bring in 40% of what we buy. So if China, that means everything China bring in gonna cost twice as much, right? We can't afford it, so we quit buying, right? So the prices drop.
Okay, I mean that's one way to look at it, I guess.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
But as far as before now, help me understand this because as far as tariffs are concerned, whenever they put a price, a tax on whatever China ships in, okay, China is not going to eat that increase in price. No, China's not going to eat that.
China gonna put the same tariff on whatever you said over there.
Right. So then when you got that tariff, when you got that tax on whatever China ships over here, then in turn, let's say they ship some hats over here to America. They're gonna put maybe a whatever percentage tariff tax on it. Now the people Nike who sells those hats, they in turn is gonna have to raise their price because they're not gonna eat that tax that is put on it. Correct.
Won't buy it.
Okay. Well, some people gonna buy it, but that's gonna make it go up.
So enough people won't buy it to keep them in business.
Well, yeah, it depends on if it's a staple, like food, gas. Those things will need to be.
Well, a lot of food in America is made either domestically or imported in South America.
Okay. So,
we ain't got with it unless.
right. Yeah, I guess it's kind of easy to get off track. Okay. All right. Okay. Light on the word. Isaiah further instructs the Israelites in verse 2 in case they cannot believe their ears. He tells them to shake off the dust that has settled on them from sitting too long. They are so used to sitting that he has to tell them to get up, arise. He commands and tells them to take their place as the children of the Most High God. Instead of sitting down in the dirt, they are to take a position more suitable to their status as children of the King of the universe. They are to release themselves from the yoke that held them captive. As believers, we are also called to arise and take our rightful position as children of God. We are to no longer live in bondage and under the yoke of spiritual slavery. So can anyone tell me what is spiritual slavery? Don't everybody jump at once. Spiritual slavery. Anybody but the pastor. Hold on a second, Pastor. Let's see if anybody else knows what spiritual slavery is.
I'm gonna put it in the words, but I know it.
Sure.
Well, he told me that.
Yeah, no. You can go ahead on. Dick.
No, I gotta put it in the words.
Okay.
I think they need to
Sure, go ahead, Pastor. Since they waiting on your response.
Well, spiritual slavery, like when he built a statue and demanded that everybody worship it, right? So, but you don't want to worship that, but you have to worship that, or else he's gonna put you in a fire burning, right? So that's spiritual slavery. You're compelled to go against what you spiritually believe in.
So he's referencing the three Hebrew boys Pastor's
There's a
reference
statue.
would have to bow down and worship the king. I think it was Nebuchadnezzar, was it?
Yeah.
You'd have to bow down and worship his statue, or he would put you in a fiery furnace and burn you up. But because they rebelled against that, they rebelled against it, then they did not do as the king had instructed them to do. But God was with them. He came through for them, and he was with them in the furnace. But spiritual slavery is something that is going to come on the earth again.
Yes.
It's going to come on, and it's going to come on the earth
Worldwide.
It's going to come on the entire world, and that's spiritual slavery, and that is what the people, that's what the people are going to have to rebel against. That desires to be saved. Hey, Pastor, God is going to make a way for the people because starvation is going to be very cruel, very bad.
But Revelation says, if you save your life, you lose it. If you lose your life, you save it. When there's spiritual slavery going on.
Okay.
They demand that you worship this mark of the beast or this beast person. And you refuse to do it, you'll be killed. But by being killed, you go to heaven. But by doing it, you live here, but then you go to hell. It's a hard choice, so we better be saved now. So we don't have to go through that.
And also, as far as fasting too, fasting is, you should fast to get strength that your prayers will be heard. But also, fasting is actually along with all of that, fasting is a way to get your body used to not eating all the time.
Yes.
That's something and that's why people, it's a good thing to fast because you want to try to get yourself used to. Because if you hear when something like that starts, you don't want it to just come on you all of a sudden. You want to be used to it as well. Yes, sir.
Americans are the fattest people on the face of the earth. So when it comes that we can't eat, we will have the hardest time. Now, you don't see fat people like us in very few other countries. With us, we just pig out all the time. And all of a sudden, you're forced not to. So fasting would have you where you used to not eating, you used to not drinking, and more than a day or two. I see what story I was reading and seeing where this man, he died of starvation because he didn't eat, I think, like 10 days. Well, with God, we can fast longer than 10 days and survive because he's with us. We just need to get with God. Get with the program.
Okay. All right. Get set. The captives do not have to go out to find word of God's salvation. He sends the news to them. In our text, the prophet assures that the messenger will come to bring the good tidings. The watchman proclaims salvation, and the sound will be so beautiful that the captives will break forth in song. Isaiah makes reference to the feet of the messenger and says they are beautiful because of the message that he is running to give to the captives. It is a message of peace, salvation, and good news. All right. Okay. If I could get
I
someone.
was listening to, I was listening to someone had mentioned made some pretty good sense as it relates to this lesson. And he said, I don't know if you might have heard that, but he said he was in jail. He was in jail for a traffic ticket, right? I've never been to jail. I'm studying that. And he was in jail for a traffic ticket. He didn't spend overnight. He was in overnight. And he said he heard footsteps of the officers coming, walking. Then when they yelled his name, Paul. He said it was so much because he was being released. He said it was so much joy that he had. But when he heard the gates open, and he got to walk through. He kind of equate that feeling, when the messengers come to feed, and watching him convey the good news after so many years of being in bondage. He kind of linked that story to this.
So it was such joy to him being released.
I mean, I just thought that I thought it was pretty
Right.
so it's thanks to the story of the message bringing those beats, sound.
Well, all that plays a part together, the sound, because number one, you're getting out of a bad situation. And that is what, I mean, who wants to suffer? So not that anyone I know wants to suffer. So therefore, whenever, especially someone who is in jail or bondage, then it's an opportunity to be free and to have power over your own body, so to speak. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then they come relevant to here in America. They freed the slaves. They let in it and wanted to go back to Africa, go back. And that's what the country of Liberia was created by the United States. For free slaves that wanted to go back. But everybody didn't want to go back. And even after those 70 years, you got to remember that only the older people remember Jerusalem. Because in 70 years, a person could have been born the first year, they're 70 years old, they ain't gonna let the body, except they heard it. So I think say only 10% of the people went back because it wasn't what, this was their life. Being born in Babylon and raised there. So Jerusalem didn't mean a whole lot to them.
You saw only 10% went back?
I think it's like 10%. You would think everybody be like you all the same thing, wherever they go. It's like if they told us all black folks go back down, we're not going, right? This is what we know. And that's how it was in Babylon. That was what the majority of them, only the older people, remember, they were the ones, they take it away, say, 15, 16 years old. Now they're 80, 90. So, what, like you might think, what is it, who could you be going home?
Well, and that's because of familiarity. Because like you said, they're familiar with their surroundings, and to take them back home to Jerusalem, they wasn't familiar with that, so they didn't,
They went back home to them.
Right. That's where they were born. Yeah, that's where they were born. Yeah. Okay, if I could get someone to read for me, The Beauty of the Mountain. Just read that whole section there for me. It doesn't matter. So.
To describe the feat of the good news runners and messengers, Isaiah selected the Hebrew word now, also meaning to be pleasant or calmly, which is only used twice elsewhere in the Old Testament, referring to the beauty of God's house. Referring to the adorned. The verse is a direct parallel to the old reading.
To describe.
Yeah, to describe, that's the word.
God's house, referring to adorn. This verse is a direct parallel. Behold upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings and publish peace. Golden Gate reminds us of the poet's literary tool. Feet is metonymy or steps. The passage also restates. As Isaiah inspires many modern songs from his poetic prowess, this portion is well known. Many believers that he wrote in lyrical mode, with the intent for the verse to be sung, much like the Psalms. Because of God's trustworthiness and his reliability, just the news of the coming events is as good as the event, using prophetic perfect tense. Israel's release has come to pass in Golden Gate words. It is as good as done. He writes that this is a matter of intimate historical reality. Such future is here. Language dovetails with the 2 Corinthians. All things have become new. From Western man, these are the feet that bring words that thrill the heart's longing for this announcement. Where God reigns, even Jesus was not handsome, but rather plain in his appearance, and certainly the cross, he was a repulsive sight. Yet now, how beautiful his piercing, bleeding feet that carry the message from his day to day. Our God reigns. News is not always good, but in this case, the objective makes all the difference. This is good tidings, a phrase almost synonymous today with the gospel. The remaining descriptors in this verse further reinforce that this isn't an ordinary victory by any means.
Okay, thank you. Hey, it was a mouthful, huh? Okay, so basically it tells us about how Jesus wasn't a handsome man, but the things that he did was beautiful. I mean, by him by him dying and being sacrificed, even though he was bloody, beaten, but yet and still the things that he did was wonderful and beyond. Actually, just it was so great that he did something that mankind or man could not do. And that talks about how God is letting people know that he was going to save them. He was letting Israel know that he was going to save them, and they didn't have to worry because it was imminent. It was coming. It was a done deal. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me see. Got this one.
I wanted to touch on what Pastor was saying too, in terms of going back. So going back
To Jerusalem,
yeah,
from Babylon.
And so, there's so many mixed emotions. When we talk about the word, when we look at it here, it's like we have a lot of adjective meaning in terms of excitement, joy, this and the other. When I say mixed emotions, it's like the generation. One generation is feeling one way, and the other generation is feeling another. And then it says, when you leave everything that was unclean behind, meaning the cultures, maybe some of the things that you had in the house, that you practiced, good and bad. Just leave off the way of living, the thought process in terms of leave that all behind. So as I'm studying the lesson, I thought about that. I was just thinking that's something else, to be a Catholic, but it's not that many years. They just have to more or less change their ways, leave all that behind. Maybe some of the things that you saw and you still was against this mindset.
Okay. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I want to make it bring up to date. I was born in the 40s. So I'm going to start with the 60s. What if, well, this is what God would do to them. What if we had to go back to the way they had a church that they did in the 60s? It wouldn't be easy. If this is what was going on, they had to go back to the same demand. God didn't change. What he demanded, he still demanded. So they had to go back to that. So the church of God in Christ was more holy back then. And they didn't permit us to intermingle with other denominations. So that kept us more pure, kept us more holy. And people could tell the ones that went to the holiness church from the ones that went to other churches because they were more loose, shorter dresses, more lipstick and makeup, more everything, more open drinking, and they curse and all like that. So what if we had to go back That's what Israel had to go back to that. So what did we have to go back? And you go further than that, Bishop Mason founded the church. That's another 50 years from what I'm talking about. You know, but what did we have right now? Healings. People coming in wheelchairs and pushing them out, coming on crutches and hanging them on the wall. People pulling out. I remember my mother got sick with St. Can't pull the bed out from the wall. Got around the bed and they prayed all night. And by day she was well. Don't have that. We don't have that. But we still think that we are holy. You know, we still think that we are really serving God the way God wants to be served. Because you go back. Could we go back?
Let me ask you this, Pastor. Why is that?
We started intermingling, as God told them to kill out those people. None of them did. So their children's children started intermingling. I don't see nothing wrong with Santa Claus, right? I don't see nothing wrong with Halloween. I don't see nothing wrong with you, right? So after a while, do you know the Jews now change gifts at Christmas because their children are exposed with other children? See, it's not pulling you down, you know, away from what God said, man, which is exclusivity, right? No other God, right? No other God. He didn't change. He has not changed. He still demands holiness. Both Testaments. Be ye holy, for I, the Lord, thy God, am holy. We think that God is eased up. He has not.
Okay. So, so you say because people have intermingled with the church, then they're not able to. Other denominations have intermingled.
We'll go to the Muslim. We'll go to the Seventh-day Adventist. We'll say, because we just want to see what they're doing, and then we'll say, well, you know, he wasn't all bad.
So they're not of God.
Yeah, right. I never really said, because I don't want to put down nobody.
But I'm saying, if you're saying they're intermingling.
Seventh-day Adventist church now. Yeah,
Okay.
right over the corner.
Okay.
What does the Bible say? If you're going to keep the law, you have to keep all of it. Right?
And then I think, and how does it work when they say is it the fourth commandment? Is it the fourth one?
This ain't what you're saying.
Huh?
If they go ahead and
Oh, as far as the keep the seventh day holy. What is it?
the Sabbath?
Yeah, the Sabbath.
Okay, so you want to know how that works? It's either Ephesians or Galatians. We keep no day holy. We have no respect for any holy day, but we keep all days holy.
So then why do you put that as one of the Ten Commandments then?
Because it was back then. Remember now, you got slaves you trying to train,
Okay.
right? See, they didn't train us for what they call themselves free us. But you have slaves that have been free. They need training and teaching, especially how to serve the Holy God. See? And so, he killed thousands of them.
Who was the slaves?
Huh?
Who was the slave?
The Egypt recruited the Jews, the Hebrews. So when God brought them out, they had to be taught how to live free and how to serve the God that brought them out. But us, they just turned us loose. Most of us gave back the 40 acres and a mule. We looked at China land, signed it and gave it back to them. But we didn't know how to farm. They told us when to plant, when to this, when to that. They didn't teach us when they called themselves letting us free. But God was teaching these people.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
Okay then. All right.
Okay. He beat them bad too, so he killed them. They wouldn't do what he said.
Okay. So back onto the beauty of the mountain. At first, it was the voice of a lone arriving messenger, and then those on the watchtower joined in, and now the city will raise its voice in song as a choir. The people of the waste places, per Golden Gate, are the suffering, bewildered, and weary remnant of the nation in the exile and in diaspora. Now all that has changed as God returned to comfort his people with his strong arm of deliverance and salvation. This is a strongly symbolic statement and anthropomorphism indicating both strength and preparation for action. Surely such reassurances spell divine comfort for all of God's people, starting in Jerusalem and including the whole world. They hear first and then see. Just as Israel first heard about the coming Messiah and then finally saw him with their eyes. Similarly, today, most everyone has heard about Christ's second coming. And one day, every eye will see him. Isaiah's prophecy about God's triumphant return to Zion runs parallel to Ezekiel's account of God's glory returning to the temple from a recent lesson exploring. Another parallel today is the body of Christ waiting expectantly for Jesus to return triumphantly to the Mount of Olives from which he ascended, which is due east of the Temple Mount, from which direction Ezekiel saw the glory of God returning to his temple. Right then. Okay. We are going to do that? Okay. Okay. And with that, we're going to give space to Sister White to do a review.
Hi, my name is Shanna Adside. And I thank God for Sunday school.
All right.
Good morning, Sunday school.
Morning.
My name is Aiden Beasley, and what I learned in our review today is a manger. A manger is a place where food is kept to feed the animals. And Jesus was placed in a manger when he was born. And that's what I learned in our review today.
All right.
At the end of our
Okay. All right. All right. I would like to know, we spoke on this earlier, when God rescued Jerusalem, what did God want them to do? When it was over, when their captivity was over, what did God want his people to do? Okay, well, anybody else want to say something?
what rise up, is that real?
Well, in here, it says he wanted them to purify themselves, and he wanted them to, basically just leave and purify themselves because they had been touching unclean things. Yes, sir.
And when you read over in Nehemiah and the priests that came back, a lot of them had intermarried.
Okay.
They had married people of other nations and all that. They had children and wives. They had to give them up. Well, basically, Levites, priests,
Okay.
they had to give them up. They checked their genealogy to make sure, they were pure. Otherwise, they couldn't serve God.
So what about the children that they had with them?
They had to give them up. If they were going to go back and serve God, they had to give them up. Wives and their children. I think the other book right next to Nehemiah, Ezra. Yeah, when you read it, it was tough. It was tough. You go serve God. I mean, the real God now, not this stuff made up. You got to be holy. You don't change that.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments at this time? Okay. Well, it is now a little after 11 o'clock. If everyone would stand, we'll do the prayer. Okay. O God, you are marvelous and wonderful to behold. You care for us even when we find ourselves held captive by our own thoughts or the deeds of others. Deliver us and keep us in the arms of Jesus. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Right.